Moscow, and New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte, who serves on the Armed Services Committee, joins me now from the Hill. Senator, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks,
Was the
Andrea.
president tough enough today with Vladimir Putin, or does he have to preserve lines of communication to Moscow, or what should we be doing with Putin, given the evidence we have of the Russian separatists who apparently fired this missile?
Well, I think it's very clear that the evidence is pointing at Moscow. The Russian separatists are being funded by Moscow. The equipment comes from Moscow. And essentially, this investigation, at the end of the day, will have, I think, the fingerprints are really on Moscow. And to see really the nerve, I've never ceased to be amazed by the nerve of Vladimir Putin to actually blame the Ukrainians in terms of closing the airspace is astounding, especially when there's been a pattern of conduct here leading up to it, because you've had a cargo plane, Ukrainian cargo plane, taken down in this area on Monday. The day before this murder, this is really a murder of over 290 innocent people. There was another military jet that was taken down by these separatists. And so I think the president really has to, I think, impose tougher economic sanctions. I appreciate what he did the day before this airliner came down, but there are much tougher sanctions that can be put in place. And Europe has to step up and really put in place and join us in punishing Putin for what he has done in eastern Ukraine that has precipitated this situation.
Senator, is there anything militarily that we can or should be doing? Any supplying of the Ukrainians or support to the Ukrainians? They're not NATO members, so we're not drawing lines here. But what can we help Kiev do in this instance?
We can help, Andrea. In fact, I went to oversee their elections. I've been there twice. I've been long calling for additional military support for the Ukrainian military in the way of equipment that they've asked for, more sophisticated equipment that would allow them to protect their airspace, would allow them anti-tank measures against the Russian tanks that the separatists have been given, and additional arms that they could use to defend themselves. They've been willing to step up to secure their own borders, and I think there's additional assistance we could give them to do that on their own behalf.
And Senator, finally, is there anything we can do to encourage Europe to stand up? Angela Merkel and David Cameron have made statements, but our own reporting has been that that President Hollande and the Prime Minister Renzi from Italy were reluctant to take stronger actions in the European meetings 2 days ago.
Well, if this turns out what we think it's going to be, given the strong circumstantial evidence of the Russian-backed separatists bringing down this plane, Europeans were murdered in this. This is an international outrage. And the Europeans, if they aren't willing to do the right thing in light of this commercial plane going down and the innocent people that have been murdered, I think it's up to the United States to really put on the pressure to shame them into stepping up their economic sanctions and really working with us to ensure that Putin backs off on eastern Ukraine and allows the people of Ukraine to determine their own sovereignty.
Senator Kelly Ayotte, thank you very much for being with us today on a day of twin crises around the world.